Good morning, children. Children, today we are going to learn story writing. So, first, I want to tell you what is a story or what is a story writing. Children, we all are storytellers. We all live in a network of stories. There isn't a stronger connection between people than storytelling. So, let us learn some basics about story writing. So, children, can you see on the screen? I have written few things about a story writing. A story is basically a narrating of real or imaginary events involving real or imaginary people. Yes, children, when you write a story, you can find different characters. It may be real or imaginary. It depends on the story you are writing. A story needs to be represented in words necessarily. Even images or moving pictures, movies can narrate a story. Children, when I will arrange few pictures in the correct order, you can even frame a story from that, right? A story is generally designed to entertain and or send a message across. Yes, children, many times you might have read the story and then the moral of the story. The length of a written story will depend on the format, whether it is a novel, novella, short story, etc. The length of a story has no bearing to its quality. Take, for example, the famous writer Ernest Hemingway. He was once challenged that he could not write a story in 6 words, but he delivered his story. What he wrote? He wrote, "For sale, baby shoes never won." So, children, from here you can understand that there are baby shoes, okay, baby shoes, which was never worn by the baby, and it is for sale. Story writing is an art. It is the oldest form of written composition. It is a work of imagination that is written in easily understandable grammatical structure. A short story is meant to be read in a single sitting, and therefore it should be as direct and brief as possible. Children, in a story we become very creative, innovative, imaginative, okay? But don't forget that whatever you are writing, it should be related to the story. We cannot write anything. Short story writing allows students, see children, it is for you. Please be attentive and listen. Story writing allows the students to give wings to their imagination and develop their writing skills. Some points will be given, and students will be required to write a story in complete sentences. They're free to add extra details provided that the final story stay true to the given points. See children, here you are benefited with so many things. You all will become creative, innovative and narrative as well. Your reading and writing skill will be improved. You will become a good thinker. Okay, now let's learn how to write a short story. First, you have to develop characters. Second, you have to establish a plot. Third number, you have to define a narration perspective. And then fourth, you have to draft a story. Let's learn this in detail. While there is no given format as such for story writing, there is a basic structure one can follow. It helps construct a story in an understandable manner and keeps the flow of the story. Now, see, children, how will you begin the story? The beginning or the introduction of a story is of essential importance. This is the part where you can hook the reader and capture their attention. You must have come across some often used beginnings to stories like "once upon a time" or "a long time ago." However, you can get more creative and begin your story with intrigue. What does it mean? It means arouse the curiosity and interest. See, children, when we go for a movie in a hall or watch it at our home, if the beginning is interesting, okay, we are very excited to see then what will happen next. But if the beginning is boring, no one wants to watch that movie. Or no one wants to read the story if the beginning is boring, right? So the beginning must be interesting. Now, character introduction. You know, there are different characters in the story, so your story will depend heavily on how well you write your characters. To develop your characters, you can use dialogues as well. Children, dialogues are so important in a story or a movie, but you need to keep the dialogues limited in the shorter format. Also, do not include unnecessary secondary characters. Why? Because every character of the story must have a purpose. We cannot put anyone in the story. Whoever we need, or whoever is concerned with the story, or whoever is playing some role, we have to use that character only. Now, plot of the story. Here is where the actual narration of the story will happen. The events that occur or the description of the situation will be written in the plot. A plot must always have a conflict. There is some argument there. There is some fight or war like this, which is the focus of any story. Now, climax or conclusion, it is also the most important part, children. And this is where the story will become to its logical conclusion. If there is a plot twist, see children, we all like twist in the story. So if there is a plot twist, this is where you will include it. We always say now there was a twist at the end. Okay? And which was very interesting. Like when you watch cricket also, then also we wait for the end, or we assume that there will be twist at the end. Something will happen. So always end your story in an interesting manner. Also, it is not necessary to give your story a definite ending. A cliffhanger is another effective tactic, children. Now, what is a cliffhanger? It is a dramatic and exciting ending to an episode of a serial, leaving the audience in suspense and anxious not to miss the next episode. See, children, you all have watched Bahubali. Okay, so the ending was so interesting that we were waiting so eagerly for the next movie to come. Okay, so you can also do like this if your story is long. So okay, you can divide it into two parts, but when you are framing the first part of the story, give ending a very interesting story. Okay, so that the people or the reader, they would love to read the second part of the story. Now, there are some points you have to keep in your mind, like make sure you give your story an exciting and appropriate title. Why? Because the title is the first impression you made on the reader. Children, see, from the heading only, from the title of the story only, we will get to know what is the story about. So, it is very important thing. Second, make sure that the facts you include in your story are accurate. It should be correct. You can take creative license while writing your story, but do not change universally accepted truths and facts. See, children, what is universal truth or fact? Like we know, sun rises in the east and sets in the west. We cannot change that. We know that moon revolves around the earth and the earth revolves around the sun. We cannot change that. Fine. So, please do not change the universal truth or facts in the story. The story must flow fluently. If there is a series of events taking place, make sure the flow has some order. The reader must not be confused. Children, in many chapters, you will see the book exercise, the back exercise. A story is framed, but it is not given in the correct order, and it is it is the task is given to you to arrange it in correct order. Why? So that the story will be in flow, and we will understand the story. And the last one is, do not use very flowery language or overuse complicated words. Otherwise, what will happen? The reader would not understand. Maybe. So the words should be very simple so that it can be read by everyone. The best stories are written in uncomplicated words so as not to distract from the plot. Now, children, here I will give you one example also how to write a story. Now, develop the following points into a readable story. I have given you few points, few sentences are there. You have to be innovative and creative and frame a sentence. Frame a good story. This one I am doing for you, but other I will give you more. I was going for a park. Get a purse. Contains a lot of money. Address of the owner from the diary. Goes in search of the owner and hands over. Rewarded. Now, children, first what we have to do? First, we have to give a good title, suitable title. So, I have given here a kind soul. You can give your own title, no problem. So, I will begin the story like this. One day, I was going for a walk. The sun was about to set, and there weren't many people in the streets. As I was walking down the road, I saw something lying near a big piece of rock. I bent down to pick it up. It was a purse and it contained a lot of money. I looked around. Nobody was there. I wanted to keep the money. I knew no one had seen me picking up the purse. So why couldn't I keep it? But then I thought about the poor man or woman who lost it. Maybe it was the money they borrowed from a bank to marry off their daughter. Or it could be the money they need to pay for a dear one's hospital bills. When such thoughts crossed my mind, I lost the desire to take the money. I realized that it was cruel. Also, it was immoral. It was not my money. So, how could I take it? I felt that I must find the owner of the purse and hand it over to them. So, I searched the purse and I found a diary in it. I opened the diary and luckily it had the complete address of its owner. I returned home and told everything to my parents. Together, we went in search of the owner and handed over the purse and its belongings to him. I had guessed it right. The owner of the purse had borrowed the money for his daughter's marriage. He was very sad when he lost the purse and was hoping that some kind soul would find it and return it. When we reached his home and told him that we had found his lost purse, his joy knew no bounds. He thanked us profusely and, as a token of appreciation, rewarded me with a nice gift. I was a bit hesitant to accept the gift, but then my parents told me that I deserved it. So, children, I have framed a story with the points given. You can also do the same. You can write another story also using these points. Fine. So I have written the moral of the story also like this. A little thought and a little kindness are often worth more than a great deal of money. See, children, money is not everything, but money is also important for the needy person. If the boy would have kept the purse, it would lose that person who has borrowed the money for his daughter's marriage. So, children, for that boy, the money was not so useful. Money is useful, but for that particular boy, it was not very useful at that moment. But it was very important for the person who lost his purse. So, children, you can frame a story like this from the points given. I will give you more exercises. That's all for today. Thank you, children.